Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, the excuse of review bombing is something that's been going around for quite a long time. Basically, the entire time that anybody's been critical of a movie or critical of a television show out there, essentially since audience scores have really been a thing, and they've become so much more easily accessible because of the internet, because of websites and smartphones and all that other kind of stuff, right? It's a lot easier for you as an audience member and as a customer, and most importantly, as a fan, to go out there and make your voices heard. And I think that's the most important thing out there in the world. And we've seen why this has started to happen, right? Because we've seen the death of the legacy media. We don't trust them anymore. They're just a bunch of shills, a bunch of access media, and all that kind of stuff. So review bombing has been something that's always been an argument for a while. Oh, they're just review bombing it because they're racist, they're sexist, they're homophobic, all the other kind of BS nonsense excuses. Even though time and time again, we can give plenty of historical examples of why this isn't true. If it's just a bunch of racists out there review bombing movies, why does movies like Creed, which literally stars a black man, does really, really well at the box office, and then also at the exact same time has incredible audience scores and incredible critic reviews? Normally, when you see something that has an incredibly high critic score and an incredibly low audience score, it's generally a good sign that the audience absolutely detests something, and the access media, the legacy media out there, is just trying to shill for things. But one of the things I always thought was kind of funny is so many of these, for a long time, it's just been the talking point, just going straight forward. It's like, it's just review bombing. Don't pay attention to the scores. The audience score doesn't matter. Yada, 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 yada. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the legacy media, in some cases, seems to be changing its tune, because we have an article over here from Wired that, of all places, I didn't think we'd see something like this, but I don't know what is going on. I don't know if there's a shift in the wind. I don't know if it's because the pendulum is finally swinging back, and at least certain organizations are realizing that. The Walt Disney Company is probably going to be the last one, if it ever even does, before it just completely and totally goes bankrupt on its own. But at this point, it's very interesting to see the shifts and the change. It's very interesting to see the winds behind these things. And the fact that an article like this was written by a legacy media institution like Wired, the Acolyte, and the long-awaited death of review bombing. The death of review bombing. Are they going to go through here and poke holes and all of this kind of stuff? Are they going to announce to the world what so many as fans and so many of the audience and so many of the other pundits out there on social media have been saying for a long time? That review bombing is not a legitimate thing, not to any kind of significant scale whatsoever to make a difference, and especially with numbers like the Acolyte, which is the lowest rated Star Wars product of all time. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a miracle it hasn't gotten into the single digits. And I'm sure there's probably some funny things going on behind the scenes to make sure that doesn't happen. But literally, it's the worst rated of all times. So let's get into this article from Wired. Leslie Headland's new Star Wars show is getting positive reviews from critics and being trashed by audiences. Some are calling it review bombing, but it's more complicated than that. Absolutely. So we're going to check out this article from Wired.com, getting all of their rationale, reasoning behind it, and see if we agree or disagree on whether or not we have to refute any of their points. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe and or follow if you have not already. And leave us a comment down below, whether in the live chat while you're watching this live, where I will read your comments out as soon as this article is done, or down below, which I try to read and respond to as many of those as possible. And if you want to catch us live, 11 a.m. Monday through Friday, come check us out for the morning prep. All right. So shout out to Angela Watercutter for writing this article. You know, you've gone too deep into YouTube fandom when you can't remember which dude with an expensive microphone told you that while speaking that straight to a camera. Oh, thanks, Quarter Black Garrett, for the microphone. Still, earlier this week, that was the particular Sarlacc pit I had been sucked into. Word had spread that fans were review bombing the Acolyte on Rotten Tomatoes, and curiosity got the best of me. First, I watched this dude with a mic video, which claimed that Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy doesn't like Star Wars, and that Lucasfilm started attacking the fans before the show even came out. That was to tell you that they knew they had a pile of proving it. Shout out to Jeremy! Yes! Geeks and Gamers D-Day Cobra! Hell yeah. Acolyte meltdown. Leslie Headland attacks Star Wars fans over a massive backlash. I love that it's a Geeks and Gamers video. I love that it's Jeremy. I love it. Another ball-capped person. How many more ball-capped people you got here?
If you own.
Oh, Echo Base Network. Yes. Shout out to Echo Base Network. Coach. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's like a hits of all the best of the fellowship. Another ball cap person noted, the main reason why this show is such a debacle is because it doesn't feel like Star Wars. Fans like me, longtime fans like us, we're not buying this crap. This is garbage, and we're going to call them out for it. After that, which explained the very first things fans complain about, are the virtue signals. The Hollywood establishment has invested so much into simply can't accept the audience is not responding to them. In turn, the video's narrator concluded the industry blames review bombing. It's hard to say that any of the YouTuber pundits were wrong or right, and doing so would be a surefire way to become the next analysis video. Fast forward to 1351 to watch my floating head be yelled at by Carrie Fisher. What? I love it. Who did that one?
Poster? Was that a toxic fan?
Robot head. I love it. I love it. Disney's race to failure. John Boyega strikes back. What I will suggest this. Everyone is just fighting about fighting now. For perspective, here's what happened. The Acolyte hit Disney Plus on June 4th. The critical score on Tomatoes sat somewhere in the 80s plus percentage range. Not quite certified fresh, but pretty solid. In the intervening weeks, the audience score plummeted and now hovers around 13 or 14%. Which has led to reports that the show was being review bombed, aka hit with bad faith negative audience reviews. Since some reports connected this flood of bad scores with the show's diverse cast and LGBTQ plus terms, lesbian space witches, you did watch all of our videos. There's been a debate about whether the poor reviews were coming from homophobic, racist, or misogynist corners of the fandom. Last week, The Hollywood Reporter asked showrunner Leslie Headland about the response to the show. While stipulating that she didn't think her show was queer with a capital Q, Headland said it was disheartening that people would think if something were gay that it would be bad. It makes me feel sad that a bunch of people on the internet would somehow dismantle what I consider to be the most important piece of art that I have ever made. Then you probably shouldn't make art. As a guy that has watched The Acolyte, unfortunately, trust me, there is like one redeeming quality. It's the actor. I can't remember his name right now, but the guy from Squid Games. No. Yeah, Squid Games. That guy's really good. He even did a really great interview. I even did a video promoting and praising the guy because he's like, I dug into Star Wars. All I wanted to do. He's like, how did you prepare for the role? I dug into Star Wars. I tried to embody Qui-Gon Jinn. That's all I wanted to do. I even learned English for the show. Like, I'm like, dope. Okay, I like this guy. Literally, other than that, it's boring. It feels like it's been ripped off of absolutely everything else that has been done a lot better. It's not good. It's just not good. These comments led to a bunch of reaction videos, which is now how I ended up down the rabbit hole, the YouTube rabbit hole. Each video I watched had lots of nuance, but one theme kept coming up that seems to be the heart of the problem. Reviewers aren't bigots. They just think The Acolyte is garbage and not Star Wars. Disney ownership of Lucasfilm is ruining the franchise, and these pissed off fans are posting reviews to point out the show's many flaws. Yes! Thank you. Someone who watched the videos, listened to them critically, and actually understood where the hell we're coming from. Boys and girls, it really is a bright, shiny new day. Taking this at face value, I'd just like to say, okay, putting aside personal feelings about the show's quality, I am a bad queer person who hasn't watched The Acolyte yet. Despite the instructions that went out into this month's Gay Agenda newsletter after my YouTube jaunt, I'm not sure if skipping the show makes me a bad Star Wars fan or a good one. There's another argument to be made. Sometimes franchises have bad installments, or just installments not everyone enjoys, and that's fine. Star Wars, like all brilliant concepts, derives its genius from its malleability. George Lucas's world building thrives on the fact that anyone can imagine what's happening 3 star systems away. Lucas himself reinforced this by tuning different writers and different directors to make The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. A mistake he did not correct, or did a mistake that he made, or a thing he not did with the sequel trilogy, or not the sequel trilogy, but the prequel trilogy. Disney has maybe gone too overboard with the amount of content it's made since its $4 billion acquisition of Lucasfilm, and even CEO Bob Iger has copped to that. But trying to say it's an untouchable franchise shouldn't be iterated upon is ridiculous. Oh, you missed the point. Every band makes one album their true fans don't like. Every director misfires once or twice. Game of Thrones went off the rails in its last 2 seasons. The Walking Dead got boring. I agree with that. Dylan found Jesus. None of this discounts the value of the stuff the fans do like, and that's not. And it's not as though every time Disney Plus drops an Acolyte or an Ahsoka, A New Hope magically disappears. Anyone stuck at Lucasfilm's old shit can still watch it. One of the YouTube reaction videos I saw, it gives us Star Wars like this. I will watch it burn to the ground and we'll celebrate that. After the death of the franchise. Here's the great thing. They can never touch George Lucas's Star Wars. We always have it, and you can't do nothing about it. That was said without acknowledgement that Lucas occasionally touches his own work, and that Disney could theoretically stop offering Star Wars on its streaming service, which is all accurately true. Ultimately, all it comes down to is time. Audiences haven't seen anything like Star Wars, the movie when Lucas released it in 97. It filled the void. Nearly 50 years later, they see perhaps too many things. All of this, which to say, review bombing is over. Not because people should stop doing it or because no one really is doing it to begin with. Rather, it's finished as a concept. Expressing displeasure via an audience scores may seem like a good way to get Kathleen Kennedy's attention, but now that everything she produces becomes subject of some fan debate about its authenticity, she likely doesn't notice. Rotten Tomatoes isn't Yelp, and Star Wars isn't a local business trying to keep loyal customers. It's a global franchise with space for lots of stories. Some of them may not just be for everyone. Oh, here we go. They understood our argument, but they missed the point, right? Because the point is, this is the point that they're missing. And they even admitted that they haven't watched The Acolyte. This is the point that they're missing here. This is the point that our dear sweet Angela is missing here. Angela, the problem is not that The Acolyte's bad. It's that pretty much everything Disney Star Wars has produced is bad. Okay, objectively bad. You could go out there and say you liked certain things, and that's fine. And you know what? Maybe you can go out there and even say you loved everything Disney Star Wars has produced, and you thought it was all amazing. You thought it was all wonderful. At the end of the day, 2 + 2 still equals 4. And the math still adds up. The ratings are abysmal. The audience hates it, i.e. the customers and the fans, the people that actually buy things. Their toys end up at Ollie's almost every single time. The lightsabers and the toys don't fund when they're going out there and putting out that kind of stuff to get funded. This franchise is more or less a dead brand at that point, and Disney has done it. So it's not just that The Acolyte is some one-off bad story, Angela. It's that it's a long history of hot garbage coming out of Disney Star Wars. So you're saying whether review bombing exists or not doesn't matter anymore. And maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. But at the end of the day, audiences making their voices heard is what changes things. It's what causes a shift in the pendulum. It's what causes a shift in the culture. And right now, the fans are winning. Ladies and gentlemen, they cannot stop us because we have rejected their nonsense. We call them out for their BS and we watch their hot garbage shows so that way people like you can't go out there and accuse us of just hating on something for the sake of hating on it. We watch it and we come at you with critical arguments that you even understood. You even understood and saw enough of them. You understood where you're coming from. But at the exact same time, you want to go different strokes for different folks. And that's fine. I completely agree with you on that one, which is why the majority of Star Wars fans have tuned out. It's why people have declared it a dead franchise. And whether you want to declare it dead or not, it is absolutely undeniably a dying franchise because every time a new show comes out, with the exception of like Mando season 1 and 2, the ratings are worse. The audience scores are even more abysmal. And now this is just the culmination of all of that. Are there maybe some people out there being overcritical of this show because of everything that's happened in the past? Maybe. But if they are overcritical, if they are cynical, it's because Disney, Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy, Bob Iger, and fuck you, fucking David Filoni did it. They served us up pile of heaping garbage after pile of heaping garbage. And then they want to make up any excuse underneath the sun as to why their hot garbage trash fails. That's why people like me exist. That's why people like Coach exist. That's why people like Jeremy exist. Because people like you, Angela, decide to go, well, it's just not for everybody. Instead of going out there and looking at it critically and going, yes, Disney has consistently dropped this kind of garbage on us, and that's why the fans are pissed. And rightly so. So, Angela, enjoy your live and let live attitude. Enjoy your it's not made for everybody, because around here, we're going to make shame great again, boys and girls. We're going to continue to shame Bob Iger. We're going to continue to shame Disney Star Wars. We're going to continue to shame Kathleen Kennedy, Dave Filoni, and everybody else, including Leslie Headland, former Harvey Weinstein employee, literally everybody else that's been involved with turning what was once one of the most beloved franchises in the world into nothing more than a hot dumpster fire of toys that end up in the Ollie's bargain bin. They have done it to themselves. And we will make sure that we document the disastrous dumpster fire of all things Disney, because they made these choices. They did it. By all means, live and let live. Except in this case, we're going to let live and let live. And we're going to live and we're going to watch it all die. We're going to let it all die because the fans have walked away. And at the end of the day, you keep putting out consistent crap project after consistent crap project. Hey, maybe our Rotten Tomato score ain't Yelp, but I'll tell you right now, at the end of the day, you lose your customers, you still lose your business.